I think we've got a minute. Do you want to count me in? Or?
Yeah, you're in.
On?
You're on.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2021 Illawarra Track Challenge incorporating the New South Wales 60m and 1 mile championships. We're at the beautiful Kerryn McCann Athletics Centre, hosted by the Illawarra Blue Stars Athletics Club. We've just had the pre-program running since 2:30 and we're now moving on to the main program of the meet. My name's James Constantine. I'm joined by Matthew Whitbread. Thanks very much, mate, for another edition of the live stream. It's been a great day of athletics so far, and we've had one historical performance already here today.
Certainly have. Forgive me, I'm just going to keep looking over our shoulder because we're just going to call this first of the 60m championship finals, the under-14s, when that's about to start. But Jimmy's absolutely right. Earlier this afternoon, it was windy, but it was hot. Rowan Browning, the fastest man in Australia at the moment, has run a 9.96 second 100 metres, first to sub 10 seconds in Australia for a very long time. Tailwind of 3.3 metres a second, so it won't be legal. But that's just going to show you just how good a form Rowan is in at the moment, and he will line up later tonight, Jimmy, in what's going to be a really, really hot 60m final for the men's in that New South Wales Championship.
Well, absolutely, and he almost has to go in favourite, doesn't he? But we've got NSW from Campbelltown, a crowd favourite, 3-time defending champion, so he loves this, mate. He loves this title. We've also got Chris Yuss, who recently ran 10.24, just 1/100th slower than Rowan on the same track a few weeks later. He lines up in the final for UTS Norse. We also have Josh Azapati, the World Championship, World Under-20 representative, going for Camden, and also in the women, Abby Taddeo returns, as well as Monique Quirk, who's just been on fire for Campbelltown. So a couple of really good 60m races, as well as the New South Wales Women and Men's Mile Championship as well.
Christine Wern going to go around that far as well. Steph Power as well in the women's. So both the women's and the men's fantastic events in the New South Wales 60m titles. They have been for some years now. As you mentioned, Abby's the defending champion, as is Anna. So just have a look over my shoulder again. The 14's still getting their blocks set up. You say, Jimmy, that Rowan goes in favourite. You'd have to say that on form, but the 60 is a very different race to the 100 metres, of course. It's much shorter. We know how good Annis is out of the blocks. That's why he's been the New South Wales champion 3 times now. And I don't think we should be writing him off by any means, notwithstanding the hot form that Rowan is in. We know Rowan so strong getting into his race in the middle part and then driving through the line, and that's exactly what he's not going to get the opportunity to do tonight. But let's talk about the mile championships, because those are 2 good iterations this afternoon. We've lost one from the ladies this afternoon to Root Canal, of all things, poor old Lauren Reid. But it's a pretty handy field on both sides, of course, coming off the Albie Thomas just before the end of the year, so we've got a bit of form to work with now.
Yeah, we absolutely do. As I think we may have to preview them all. I can see the girls behind their block, so we might just call this race and we'll preview that mile in a second. Okay, so as we mentioned, we have the age group 60m championships before those open New South Wales championships, and we're kicking off with the under-14s. As we can see, 3 girls on screen. Those will be the 3 starters in this under-14 race. In lane 4 will go Leanna Balich of Essex West, lane 5 of Elliot Millicamps of Randwick Botany, and in 6 for Illawong Reesby goes Indy Bauer. So the first of the age group 60m championships, not far away from a start now. We're just waiting for the photo finish and start team just to give the all clear. So the girls in their blocks, this is the under-14 New South Wales 60m championship race. So they're away. It looks like a pretty good start from Indy Bauer from Illawarra, but coming through now, Elliot Millicamps and Randwick Botany. It's going to be Millicamps who takes out the under-14 women's 60-metre championship. Second, Indy Bauer of Illawong, and third was Leanna Balich of Essex West. So nice run there by the Randwick Botany athlete. Probably better known for their distance running, but very good run by young Millicamps there in the 60 metres. Just waiting for the official times to come through, which we will be able to give to you in real time from photo finish. 8.43 there for Elliot to take out the championship. Second was Indy Bauer, 8.72, so 3/10 in it there, and a 9.22 for Leanna Balich of Essex West for third. So good start there for our 60s. Of course, these under 14 races are straight finals. We did have a host of under 16, under 18, under 20 and open heats for these championship final races. Varying numbers of heats for the age groups, but some really good 60-metre racing we've seen just a few hours ago. As we mentioned, for those just tuning in, and for all the, not just sprint enthusiasts, but athletics enthusiasts alike, we have had Rowan Browning run a 9.96 wind-assisted 100 metres earlier on, just over an hour ago, here at the Kerryn McCann Athletic Centre. He ran it with a 3.3 tailwind, but just an incredible run by the third fastest man in history in Australia, and had the absolute pleasure of calling that race as well, and one race I'll never forget. So this is the under 14 boys, two athletes in this one: Illawarra Blue Stars Matthew Aragui in 4 and Andreas Hampel from UTS North in 5. So they're away in this two-horse race. You can see the grimace and the quick start there by Andres Handful of UTS North, and he will take this out over the hometown athlete. Good win there, and the age group championship for the under-14s goes to Andreas Handful of UTS North, with Matthew Aragui of Illawarra Blue Stars winning silver. So 7.93 there for Andreas Hampel for the under 14 boys. Good time there, sub 8 for a 13-year-old. And Matthew Aragui of Illawarra Blue Stars, my apologies, 8.42. So first and second with the under 14 boys, and we are now moving on to the first of our full fields in the under 16 women's race. So of course, this meet run by the Illawarra Blue Stars Athletics Club have done a fabulous job hosting the Illawarra Track Challenge. And now, I think now in probably its 5th year, I think. It's been growing every year steadily in terms of participation, smashing the record participation this year with 460 athletes competing over a variety of events during the pre-program and the main program. And a 40% growth in a single year, Matthew Whipper, in terms of participation. It goes to show the athletics community is really coming out, COVID aside, to basically every single meet that they can this summer.
I was going to say that exactly, especially in a COVID environment, that growth's so impressive. So I think we're just about right to go here. I think we had the 15s on screen. This is the under 16s, of course. Yeah, big build-up for this meet, and the first time this meet has been presented in this way as well, with a pre-program and a main program. So the main events will all be coalesced together at the end of the program here, and should be a pretty good hour and a half of athletics for everyone to watch on their Saturday evening. The 60-metre championships has really grown to be a really prestigious New South Wales title in the last few years since it's moved to this event. The Illawarra Blue Stars and the team have done a brilliant job building up that event. So from the inside out here, Emendovsky, Peter, Reshi, Idris, Betham, McCloskey, Kabuya, Adam, and Akui. Betham and McCoskey out real in the middle of the track, and it's probably Betham is going the best of Campbelltown. It's a Campbelltown trio, and I reckon maybe all the way over the inside for perhaps the hometown girl, Delta Adamandovsky, might have just got over the top of Kubawaya from Campbelltown, but we'll wait for the photo to come through. You saw how close it was on screen. Just waiting for the photo finish times to come through. And otherwise the outside, yeah. So Kabawasi from Campbelltown, 7.67, confirmation of her win there. And I think this will be really tight. Yeah, just 0.02 of a second back to Delta Amadovsky of Athletics Wollongong in second, and in third place in a time of 7.80 was so I've just missed that. Demeter Beetham of Campbelltown. So yeah, Campbelltown 2 of the top 3 there as we get the winners of the New South Wales 60m champs in the under-16s, Jimmy.
Great race there. Of course, a lot of those girls competed recently at the New South Wales All Schools Championships, and Delta Abentsovsky in particular, just a brilliant multi-event athlete. Took out the long jump in an All Schools record, the high jump possibly an All Schools record, and performed very well over the 200-metre hurdles as well. So, 60 metres probably not quite her forte, but 200s outside, the best or one of the best sprinters in New South Wales for our age group. Just a sensational performance, but Tuliana too good there. And the junior ranks of the Campbelltown Athletics Club as well will be very much on show through the next few races too. So we move on to the boys under 16. They're just selling into their blocks there. Probably the favourite for this one, Evan Vukovic in lane 5 for our 6 West. So they're away. Pretty good start by Vukovic, but also on his inside was the Campbelltown athlete. That's Cedar Hill Kumar. But Vukovic just coming in. It's a close finish. I reckon Vukovic has got it. He celebrates, so he thinks he's got it, but I reckon he just pipped the Campbelltown athlete on his inside, Sadil Kumar. So yeah, I reckon he's just got it there as Vukovic. We wait for the officials' results.
They reckon probably Ivan Bolich, the other West athlete over on the inside, was probably up for third. But yeah, so confirmation of Evans winning 7.37 and Kumar in second for Campbelltown 7.48. And it wasn't, in fact, it was over on the outside. It was Dylan Ilagantalike of Campbelltown that got up for third. So obviously, as you see on screen, there's a bit of an angle we're working with here, which is not ideal for 60-metre races, and frankly, not a whole lot of time to call them in any event. So now, of course, you can get all the live results as usual on the Athletics New South Wales website. Go to the results page, and there's a live results link there. Otherwise, there's also a link in the description of the live stream on the post you're watching. And if you're watching, people at home, let us know in the comments on the Facebook stream. See, Paige Campbell's just jumped on. I assume she's probably out in Warren. Hasn't made the trip in for the mile champs. Mile's probably getting a bit short for Paige these days. And I think we're up to the under 18s, Jimmy.
Yeah, we are. We had a brilliant race between some of these girls in the 100-metre open race beforehand, where we saw Alexandra Stoilayova run 11.78 in a very tight finish with her stablemate Shola Adanaran, both of who will go in this field for Westfield Sports. So I might just quickly run through the field while we've got a moment. Paige Campbell goes for Campbelltown lane 1, Annabelle Johnson Campbelltown lane 2, Shola Adanaran for Westfields in 3, Angelina Wildenshuttle from Bankstown Sports in 4, Imogen Harris Athletics Wollongong 5, Alexandra Stoilayova Westfield 6, Lauren Kazozi Campbelltown 7, Lauren Percival from Illawarra Blue Stars in 8, Ava Coon South Sydney in 9, Sophie Latimer rounds out a 10-strong field in lane 10 for Camden. Great field here for the under-18 Women's 60 Championship. Some of the best 16 and 17-year-old girls in the state. So there were a brilliant start there. That's Jessica, I think Shola Adnaran, but Alexandra Stoilova. It's going to be a dip. I reckon Shola's got that. Shola Adnaran, probably a slight upset, I'd say, but she is brilliant out of the blocks. You see that, such a strong athlete she is, Shola. And yeah, we did have a few DNSs in that one actually, so we'll just wait for confirmation of those results. 7.49 for Shola, a great win, takes out the women's under 18 60-metre championship. And yeah, it was 300s, so the Westfield girls over 3/10 from the rest of the field. 7.49 for Shola, and it was 7.52 for Alexandra Stoilova. Angela Winchell, a really good run for the Bankstown Sports Athletics Club in third, 7.85. Imogen Harrison, 8.18. Lauren Casosi, 8.23. And Annabelle Johnson, 8.48. Rounded out the sixth for that race.
It does just go to show you, Jimmy, how important the start is in the 60 metres. You know, you can come in, as we were talking about earlier with Rowan and Annis, you know, you can come in favourite over the trip, and particularly, you know, the 100 metre, 200 metre sprinters. But the 60 is so much about the start. I mean, by the time you've started and gotten through your drive phase, the race is half over. So it's just so critical to get out of the blocks well, and that's why you can see some upsets over this distance.
Well, absolutely. And as you mentioned before about Annis being so quick out of the blocks, we did actually see that in the heats earlier on in the day, where Annis probably had the better of Rowan for the first 40, and then Rowan really just came through in that last 20 metres to get them by, I think, 800. So you're absolutely right, Matt. The start is all important in these races.
We can show Rowan.
So the next event on the track will be the under 18 boys. We've got 8 starters in this one. We'll quickly run through these. From Norths in 2, Aiden Jones. 3 from IBS, the home club, Caitlin Brown. In 4, Westfield's Malaki Kessie. 5, Westfield's Rashid Kaba. 6, Sebastian Sultana from Campbelltown. 7, Bryce Bestis from Westfield's. 8, Joseph Ode from Cherrybrook. And 9 from Trinity goes Will Moyer, under 18 boys championship race. Wait, may just have been a break there. I reckon Bryce Bestis of Westfield's, fractions of a second possibly. I was about to say he got out the best, but they may, unfortunately, be his undoing. We'll wait for confirmation of the officials, of course. Yeah, unfortunately, it is Bryce Bestis from Westfield who has been disqualified for a false start. And probably the pressure heightened, to be honest, in a 60 to get away so quickly. It can make or break your race. So we'll try and get them underway cleanly the second time of asking. Away cleanly. Good start there by Sebastian Sultana of Campbelltown. I reckon Sultana's got the better of the running here, but here comes one of the Westfield athletes. Oh, it's going to be very, very close. It's between Sultana and Kessie of Westfields, and also Moyer on the outside. Very quick home. I don't think he's won, but he'll certainly find himself in the placings, you would think. We'll wait for the official results. Sultana definitely got the best of the starts.
We're now getting very high, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to the very, very principal event along with open bed.
It's close. We're taking a while to get the times through. It was Will Moyer from Trinity. What a finish that was. 6.98. The Trinity athlete takes it out. 1/100th over Sebastian Sultana, 6.99. So a brilliant finish there, right on the outside in lane 9. And there we go, 2 100ths across the top 3 with Malachi Kessie in third, and make that 200ths over the top 4. what a race. It was a blanket finish. Very hard to call, of course, front on, but 4 within 200ths, Matt.
Absolutely. Just goes to show, 1, how close 60-metre racing is, but 2, also be careful watching the stream here from the angle we're on. That Trinity athlete on the far outside, and it is deceptive. So I think we're just getting ready for this with under 20s now, I think, Jimmy. So this is obviously the last of the junior divisions, and then we'll be into the paras and the the Open Championships. Now, of course, if you're seeing hundredths of second on a live results page as well, remember that the photo finish judges will be going down to the thousandths. But here we go, Jimmy, for the ladies under 20 New South Wales Championship final.
Jess Lawrence, watch her in the middle of the track, but also Emma Matthews from Camden. It's Lawrence Matthews. Lawrence gets it. Jessica Lawrence continues her good start to the season for the Campbelltown Athletics Club over Emma Matthews. I think it might have been Jess McIver. Morgan Kelleher having a good finish there as well. So that might be the top three. I reckon Lawrence has got that one. Very impressive at the recent high velocity meet as well. I think she might have run about 11.9, maybe 11.89, something like that for the 100. So she's in very good form so far, as we just wait on official confirmation of the results.
The other thing worth remembering at these championships, Jimmy, is that this is the first time that we've had the heats and finals run separately. So traditionally these have been straight finals. So I think, we've just got a confirmation there. Jessica Lawrence of Campbelltown, winner in 7:54. Emma Matthew, 7:70 for Camden. And Jess McIver of UTS North, 7:78. So those are the top three for the ladies under 20 event. But I was saying, Jimmy, first time these championships have been split between heat and final. Traditionally, you've had seeding coming into this race on the back of a long inter-club season, Trelaw Shield season. But for the first time now, these events are being run with the heats earlier this afternoon, about 3 or 4 hours ago, and the finals coming back now. I was just talking to Abby Taddeo, who's going to go around, probably start favourite in the ladies' final tonight. She was saying that she was a bit slow out of the blocks a bit earlier this afternoon, but now gets a chance to run in the final. And that heat final running does absolutely make a difference at these sorts of championships. Running the state 100-metre titles where you go heat semi-final is very different to a one-off Trelaw Shield.
Absolutely. A lot of these athletes, we've done the 61 double. So for a lot of these athletes, third race of the day coming up. This is the under 20 men. So a bit of unsteadiness. We might rip through this start list now. In 2 for St George, Iram Palmer. 3 Campbelltown, Christopher Gillette. 4 from Campbelltown, Manuel Bodu. 5 for St George, Andrew Goshnick. 6 from Athletics Wollongong, Sam Zustovich. 7 from Campbelltown, Phil Baker. 8 from Illawarra Blue Stars, Jonty Faulkner. And 9 from Balmain, Samuel Chen. So just a bit of unsteadiness at the start, but we're going to get them away very shortly. So the boys just getting into their blocks now. This is the under 20 men 60m championship title. Great start there by Goshnick. Also out well on his outside is Sam Zustovich, coming through as Phil Baker as well. It's Zustovich, Baker and Goshnick. I reckon Zustovich has got Athletics Wollongong, came in with the quickest seed time, and I reckon he's just pipped Baker from Campbelltown on his outside and Goshnick on his inside from St George. A lovely race there. Real V formations they came across the line, but the Athletics Wollongong athlete has been pretty impressive, actually, Sam Zustovich. I think he ran a quite good 100 as well. And confirmation he's got that in 6:87 over Phil Baker of Campbelltown, second, 6:95, and Andrew Goshnick from St George in 6:98.
Very good running, mate. Very, very good running. Getting into the business end now. It's the open final, so we've got the paras and then the opens. Now remember that the para championships are not necessarily first across the line as the winner. There's a calculation which is done based on the athlete's relevant classification, and it's based on a percentage of the performance as a percentage of the world record for their particular classification, and that's how we work out the results for the Para Championships in New South Wales. So don't necessarily assume that the first across the line here will be the winner. So we'll go through this field for the Women's Para Championship final. And from the inside out, it will be Charlize Colwell, the hometown athlete from Athletics Wollongong, Jess Filacamo of the Hills District, Kaylin Joseph from Cherrybrook, Carly Simons from Athletics Wollongong, and Tamsin Colley will be the last of them to go for the Hills District on the far outside.
Okay, these are the finals of the Women's 60m Para Championship.
So a good field of 5, going to be followed by a field of 4 in the men's.
Jessica Tomato from Hills District, Caitlin Jason from Cherrybrook, Carly Simons from Athletics Wollongong, and Tamsin Colley from the Hills.
You can see there Carly Simons, one of our vision impaired athletes, has her guide with her, so he'll start in the blocks alongside her. That's a good example of the different classifications all competing in the one event here. So from the inside out, Colwell, Filacamo, Joseph, Simons and Colley. The field just about set now. Cleanly away, first time of asking. Colwell on the inside, the hometown girl from Athletics Wollongong is the best away, but now it's Simons, Carly Simons from Athletics Wollongong, her teammate, who will be first across the line, and I fancy she'll get the better just of Tamsin Colley from the Hills District. We'll wait for the results to come through. I reckon third over the line was the Cherrybrook athlete, Kaylin Joseph. But of course, so confirmation there, Carly Simons 9.19 first over the line, Tamsin Colley 9.94 for the Hills District, and Kaylin Joseph from Cherrybrook third over the line in 10.20, Charlize Colwell 10.52, and Jess Filacamo of Hills in 10.63. Those are the results as far as first past the line goes for the ladies Para 60m championship. As we have a look now at the men's race, and from the inside out it is Zane Newton from Matthew Angessa, Jackson Love and Christian Georgalis, all of the Hills District. So I think there's at least one type of that. I think one of the athletes here, Jimmy, has got a Hills District Jackson Love against his name, but that looks a lot like a Sydney Pacific singlet to me. So certainly 3 from Hills in Newton, Njesa and Georgalis.
Manly Warringah.
Yeah, and of course, Sydney Pacific now part of the that's a Manly Warringah singlet, the new merged super club of the north side of Sydney. Done a brilliant job there bringing together Manly Warringah Little A's and the old Sydney Pacific seniors. one of the newest and certainly one of the biggest One Athletics clubs in New South Wales. You can see on the line behind them, the open ladies are lined up and ready to go. Abby Taddeo's there next to her training partner, Steph Power. The boys are in the blocks now. Off they go, and over on the inside it was Newton who was the best away, and he's going to fly down and take out first over the line honours in the men's para event. Jackson Love was next over, then ahead of George Alice and Matthew and Jessa. We'll wait for the official times to come through. But this is now getting ready for one of the two main event sprints of the evening. Zane Newton, confirmation of his first over the line status in the men's power race, 8:23. Jackson Love, 9:54. Christian Georgalis, 9:75. And Matthew and Jessa will be the final one over the line. As Jimmy, we get ready now. The girls just going to go through their final run-throughs. If you're watching at home, send us through your predictions for the ladies' New South Wales 60-metre championship final. And let's give you a preview of this field, Jimmy. So from the inside out, it is Madeline Miller of Kembla Joggers, Kyla King from Sutherland, Carly McIver of Illawong Reesby, Monique Quirk from Campbelltown, Abby Taddeo, the defending champion, Illawong Reesby, Steph Power, her training mate, part of the Penny Gillies squad from UTS Norths, Sundance Fuller from Campbelltown, and Christine Wern from Mounties will start in the outside lane as the slowest seed, but she's certainly not the slowest in this race. In fact, she'll be one of the favourites. Jimmy, Abby is going for 3 back-to-back, I think, New South Wales 60-metre championships. What's your prediction here?
Well, it's Tayo versus Quirk, isn't it, really? It's, as you mentioned, the start's so important in this one, but Monique has been on fire. I think she's probably had the better of Abby at a couple of the high-velocity Illawong meets, which have been so successful so far this season. So I would almost say Quirk, very slight favourite on form, but we know how good Abby is, and they are in their blocks now, so let's get ready for a call.
Right to go for the New South Wales 60-metre title. Taddeo was quickly away. Kirk well away on her side as well. Taddeo's coming into a running, but Monique Quirk is holding her off, and Monique Quirk denies Taddeo the back-to-back and will become the newly minted New South Wales 60-metre champion for Campbelltown. She got out better than Taddeo and really pulled away from her in the middle part of the race. In fact, it was a really good run from Carly McIver from Illawong on her inside as well. She got out of the blocks brilliantly, but just faded as they got into the later phase of the race. Confirmation of Monique Quirk's win at New South Wales Championship in 7.28. Abby Taddeo second in 7.40. Will have to settle for silver this year in her pursuit to defend her title. Carly McIver, Abby's teammate from Illawong, third, and a bronze medal in 7.60. Steph Power, UTS North, solid run for her as part of the Penny Gillies squad, 7.65. Sundance Fuller, 7.67. Kyla King for Sutherland, 7.74. And the win was a perfectly still 0.0. Madeline Miller from Campbelltown, 7.95. And we're showing Christine Wern as a DNS, so sorry I didn't notice that on the line. But pretty good running there for Monique, Jimmy, 7.28 with no tailwind. That's a solid run.
Oh, it goes to show the form she's been in. As I mentioned, she's just had the better of Abby, but 1200s over 60 metres is pretty dominant, to be honest. You think about 60 being almost half the distance of 100. That is a strong win for Monique, and did not get the best of the starts. Abby definitely got her on the start, but she just pulled through that last. It's probably 25-30 metres, and I think she's pretty happy with that one. So we'll catch up with Monique in a second, as we are now ready for one of our co-blue ribbon events of the night is the men's 60m championship featuring Mr. 996 himself, Rowan Browning, just a matter of minutes or just over an hour after he's run a 996 with a 3.3 win. So in one goes the Commonwealth Games bronze medalist of the sprint hurdles, Nick Huff from Sydney Uni. Sebastian Moyer from Trinity goes in two. Rowan Browning will go as favourite for Sydney Uni, you would have to think, in three. Anis Abuganaba, three-time defending champion of Campbelltown, 4. Mitch O'Neill from Athletics Wollongong, 5. Josh Azzopardi from Candan ends 6. Chris Ewis has taken 3/10 off his 100-metre PB, ranked 10.24 recently at high velocity in UTS. Chris is scratching, so there goes that intro. Jinsu Jung, crowd favourite, and it's been around a while. He goes to Sydney Uni in 8. Lewis Claiborne, UTS North in 9. Lachlan Parry from IBS in 10.
I'll go against you, Jimmy. I'll tip Anis to defend his title, become a 4-time champ.
I did say he is a crowd favourite. He certainly knows how to put on a show, does Anis. So look for lanes 3 and 4. We're zoomed in on them now. It's Browning v Anis. Away cleanly. Anis probably gets the best of starts. Anis looking pretty good. Browning now coming over the top. Browning gets it. He gets the 60-metre title. The form athlete, the fastest man in Australia, takes the open title over Anis Abuganaba and denies him a 4th straight title. What a battle that was. I reckon Anis just got him off the blocks, but Browning coming into his own takes the title. I reckon Anis may have just snuck home for second. 6.55. The time for Rowan Browning. Now, unfortunately, we don't have an outdoor Australian record, but I do know, I think it's Matt Shervington, 6.52 indoors is the indoors Australian record. So Browning is now 300ths outside the Australian 60-metre indoor record. We wait for the wind reading on that. Anis Abuganaba from Campbelltown, confirmation of second in 6.70, and Josh Azzopardi, a good run there for third in 6.74. Jinsu Jung, 4th, 6.84. Sebastian Moyer, 6.89 and 5th, and Lewis Claiborne, UTS North's 6.92, 6.96 for Lachlan Parry for 7th. Nick Huff, 6.99. Commonwealth Games bronze medalist over the hurdles, of course, and Mitch O'Neill, 7.05 for 9th. The wind was 0.1, so Browning runs 6.55, 300ths outside the Australian record of 6.52 with a 0.1 tailwind. What a day for Rowan Browning. He has come into a new echelon of sprinting in the Australian history books and goes 6.55 and 9.96 in the same day. Yep. So we will catch up with Monique first, the winner of our women's 60-minute championship. Monique, 7.28 and 12/10 over the rest of the field. You must be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I am pretty happy with that. It was quite a shock, but it is what it is.
You've been in such good form, particularly in the high velocity meets. What has that style of meet done for your form so far this season?
It's given me experience against the Opens. This is my first year in Opens. So as a junior coming up into the Opens, it's quite a good race. I don't know.
That's all right. And looking forward, of course, hopefully we can get state opens off the ground. Hopefully the national championships, which were announced a couple of days ago in Sydney on your home turf, hopefully that goes ahead as well. You must be sort of liking where you are at this point in the year and looking forward to March and April.
Yeah, I am. It's quite a good season ahead, so I'm excited.
Beautiful. Well, congratulations on the title. Very well done. First New South Wales title open?
Yes, it is.
Fantastic. Congratulations, Monique Quirk, winner of the 60-metre New South Wales title.
Thank you.
And we'll grab the man of the moment, Rowan Browning, 6.55. We'll talk about the 100 in a second, but 300s outside, Shervo's 6.52 Australian indoor record. Of course, there's no national tie outdoors. We might have to change that. Talk us through the 60 first. I thought Anna's probably got the start, but you really came into it about 30 metres in.
I mean, I run a lot of 60s in training. For a sprinter, that's really your bread and butter. But I've never really run a competition like this. An outdoor 60 is quite rare, except for 3 years ago in 2017. So it's been a great meet. The winds were nice, they're blowing in the right direction. And I knew before going in that Shervo's record was 6.52. I knew it was indoors, so it wouldn't mean much if I ran quicker than that. But he was pretty formidable over 60, so if I can get up there with him, I think I'll be tracking all right.
Speaking of history, 9.96. Now, it was a 3-3 tailwind, unfortunately, but first time sub 10. Does this now put you? We'll take a step back. You did an interview a few weeks ago with young LJ, which I really enjoyed. We had on our socials, and you talked about going to that next echelon, running sub 10 consistently, and then putting yourself into the fold for not just the Olympics but semi-finals and finals moving forwards. Does a performance like that today give you the confidence that yep, I'm taking the next step right now?
Well, I mean, it gives me the confidence that I can do it. I think I left a lot to be desired in that run. So, the first thing I said to my coach when I got back to the fence was it doesn't mean anything until it's legal. And the first thing he said was, it should have been 9.8. We're looking at this footage that he had taken. And, I mean, that's the attitude you have to take into it with this sport. It's so cutthroat, And I've been burned a lot of times in the past, missed the Commonwealth Games by 0.001. I got absolutely humiliated in the World Championships last year in Doha. I ran like 10.40. Came 40th. So, I wanted to bounce back this year, especially with COVID. I had the opportunity to just train for a whole year uninterrupted, and that's been a really positive thing for me.
We've talked about the distance runners a lot with some of the live streams we've done so far this year. Talk us through the sprinter's mindset towards COVID. Now, you're not doing base training mileage, but what are you doing over COVID, and what's the mindset knowing that I don't know when the next meet's going to be?
Ladies and gentlemen,
well, I think what I realised this year is you don't have to be the fastest man in the world. You don't have to be the best athlete in the world. You just have to be the best adapted athlete in the world and the one most willing to be flexible. You've got to take your opportunities. They're going to be rare. And if you do that, you should be all right. That's how I've approached it, yeah.
Rowan Browning, you've set Kerryn McCann Athletic Centre alight today. Socials are blowing up about your 9.96. Congratulations, mate. Thank you so much for coming, and we wish you nothing but the best for the rest of the season.
Yeah, thanks very much. I'm looking forward to ACT State Champs and then hopefully running it at Illawarra after that.
We'll make sure we're there, mate. Well done. Congratulations.
Thanks, mate. Second place getter to the next group.
A very, very good interview with Rowan. And while we're talking about it, Jimmy, why don't we just, for those who haven't seen, I'm sure everyone watching seen it on social media already, but if you haven't seen it yet, this is Rowan running a little bit earlier tonight, or this afternoon, I should say, in the 100-metre event, running 9.96 with a 3.3 metre a second tailwind. Have a look.
The second fastest in history.
Well, there it was, Jimmy. 9.96 for Rowan. And while we're there, why don't we just have a look at the two? We're in the blocks. So sorry, things moving quickly here from the inside out in this 400 metres. Jess Thornton, of course, the World Championships representative, Sarah Klein, Matilda Ryan, Brody Maid, Bendiria Boyer, Paige Campbell, Jen Cowie and Sally Guthrie. So they go up the back straight the last time, and a Boyer has absolutely taken off. Interested to see how Jess Thornton runs here for Illawarra back in lane number 1. But it is a Bendiria Boyer who has taken off like a bullet a gate, going around the 200 metre mark now. She's already picked up the stagger on the girls outside of her. Going
going really well on the outside is Genevieve Cowie for Sydney University. She's just picked up Campbell of Campbelltown on her inside, but it's Banderia Boyer coming into the straight. It's Banderia Boyer coming into the straight for the first time. And Banderia Boyer is going to come out and take the women's 400 metres at the Illawarra Track Challenge. Convincing fashion. And then the stablemates of Genevieve Cowie and Sarah Klein, the hurdle specialists, ran so well at the Albie Thomas in the 4 hurdles. Going to come over the line in second and third. But Banderia Boyer, as she's been all season over the 400 metres, Jimmy, is dominant, and confirmation of her win. That's a pretty handy time, 53.35 for Banderia Boyer, and she's just building this resume of back-to-back-to-back 53-second runs. Pretty good to be doing at the start of January. Jen Cowie, second in 55.15, just over the top of her training mate from Team Watson, 55.19, Sarah Klein. Matilda Ryan, of course, the 800 metre specialist, won her second Albie Thomas 800 just before the end of the year for UTS North in 56.27 here today. Brody Maid of Kembla, 56.79. Sally Guthrie, Sydney Uni, 57.09. And Paige Campbell of Campbelltown, 57.62. And Jess Thornton not taking her place in that field. Of course, the Olympic representative at the Rio Games. That the women's 400 metres, Jimmy. There's actions coming thick and fast here. We're just watching the presentations for the 60 metres, and the 4s are underway, and the boys will be up next. But Banderia Boy is just stringing together 53-second 400 races for fun these days.
Well, she certainly is, and she's building her season, isn't she? And we're lucky enough to be able to stream sort of every one she's done so far. Of course, Albie Thomas taking out the 400 there, and you can see, yes, she's a class above the other athletes, but she's not just cruising towards the line. She's very hungry for times. So it's good to see her go around there and take out another dominant win, another one to put in the training book. So. The men are up now, the 400A race, and we will try and get through this list. It is Liam Webb in 1 for Sydney Pacific. 2 goes Josh Atkinson from Hills District, the 18-year-old. In 3, Keegan Bell from UTS North. 4, Jordan Sarmento from UTS North. 5, World Championship 4x4 representative from Bankstown Sports, Ian Halpin. 6 goes UTS North, Mason Cohen coming down to the 400. 7, Illawong Reeves, JV Smith, and 8 on the outside for Illawong goes Chris Liveritzi. So Halpin, you would probably say, is the favourite for this one. Didn't have a great race at Hunter last week, and he'll be looking to go well into the 47s this time around. We'll see how Halpin fares against the rest of the field. So away cleanly, Webb, Atkinson, Bell, Sarmento, Halpin, Cohen, Smith and Liveritzi. Very even through the first of 80 metres now. Halpin starts to get into his stride in the Bankstown Sports outfit and New South Wales state team tights. He's now made up the stagger on Mason Cohen, the 800 metre specialist, coming down as they go past the pole vault map there. So Halpin having the best of the running at the moment. Watch for Mace late, as he does like the 800s, obviously, but Halpin, the best of the running. Also going well on the outside, Jamie Smith of Illawong, as we can see Illawong duo just mixing it up at the moment, but it's Halpin who's dominated from the outset. Keegan Bell gritting his teeth. He's trying to get into those minor places. Jamie Smith is actually taking it up to Halpin now, and Halpin's hanging tough, but here comes Smith, and it's going to be Halpin who just gets there over Jamie Smith. Keegan Bell finished well for 3rd, as a plethora of UTS North athletes behind him battled out for 4th and 5th, but Halpin holds on. It's going to be interesting to see what the time is. It's a good win, but I reckon probably the run of that race is Jamie Smith, the 21-year-old from Illawong Reevesby. Very, very good over the last 50 metres. The Halpin will be happy with that. I think that's probably an important win for him. And 47.33. So he's gone 8 tenths quicker in 1 week. Ran a 48.05 from memory. The Hunter Track Challenge goes 47.33, and actually exactly the same time as Tyler Gunn ran in that Hunter Track Challenge race, who was the eventual winner last weekend. 47.49 for Jamie Smith. I reckon that's probably very close, if not a personal best for him, as he moves into the 47.4s for the first time this season. Jordan Sarmento was third for UTS North, just 300ths behind in 47.52, and Mason Cohen dips under 48, which not a bad run for the Fridge, 47.98, Matt.
Well, he's got the build of a 400 metre runner, doesn't he? So I love watching the Fridge have a run, and this is a common tactic for Mace early in the season, for him to get some 400 metre speed in the legs. Seen him do it at plenty of Trelaw Shields over the years. And as he's just having a joke with one of our officials, actually. So that was the men's 400 metre, and the next event off on the track will be the A race of the 3K, and then we've got two New South Wales mile championships in terms of different age categories. One is the under 20s, and the others will be the Opens. So the 20s and the Opens have been separated at this event. But the 3K will be going around before the mile champs. I'm just checking what scheduled start time we've got for that 3K, 7:18. So for those playing along at home, we're running about 5 minutes behind schedule, which will explain why some of these races are getting underway so quickly. So the start team will make their way over to the 3K start. And Jimmy, I think we might be able to get Bendiria Boyer for you to have a quick chat. Also got some of the long jump underway. But just before we get this 3K underway, we might see if we get Bendiria Boyer for a chat with Jimmy.
Thank you.
So, fortunately, we don't have any lip balm for you, Bendiri, but good run there, 53.35. You're starting to build into your season now.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't really the time I was looking for, but with the conditions in the back straight, I guess I'll take it. But no, I could see like a lot of things I could work on that race. Obviously, it wasn't my fastest time in the season, but I'm fine with it.
Talk us through your Christmas and New Year's break. What does an elite athlete do over the silly season?
I don't know.
Probably not what Matt and I were doing.
Yeah, well, I couldn't do anything. Still kept fit, so it was all right.
Moving forwards now, we've got an announcement for Nationals, which is obviously a really exciting thing. Does state opens now mean a little bit more, knowing that there's probably going to be a Nationals on?
I guess every race does from now on, or ever since the year started. I guess every race does mean a lot because we never know when the next race is going to be. So, yeah, it's important. It's always every other race.
Beautiful. And how's the mood back at camp? You're trained now by John Quinn, I believe. Yeah. The mood in the camp, does it sort of go right? Okay, Nationals is on. I know that you said that you don't know when races are going to be, but surely that sort of goes right. Do you feel an extra 5% better when you go to the next training session, knowing that the Nationals will probably be on?
Yeah, I guess I go to every training session knowing that I have a coach that does believe in me. So I guess any race I would take have the same attitude. So yeah.
Beautiful. Bendiria Boyer, winner of the 400 again. Albie Thomas and now at Illawarra. Congratulations, and we look forward to seeing a lot more during the season.
Thank you very much.
And first placing goes to Illawarra.
So just watching some of these presentations happen as well. So this is the presentation for the men's 60-metre championship going on in front of us. But Jimmy, I don't think we're too far away from a start in the men's 3K, and I do have a start list for that here somewhere. So again, if you're watching along at home, there's a link to the live results in the description of the video that you're watching. So we're just waiting for these presentations to finish before we get underway with the 3K.
And Rowan's got a little bit of wine there as we've managed, and he's also got a photo of his attached to your wine. Okay? Second place goes to the Campbelltown athlete, and we love him coming down. We always support you.
Fair bit of love for Rowan's 996 going around, mate, which is not hard to believe.
Two of the finest athletes in Australia today.
Yeah, rightfully so. Wonderful shot. So, as I think I've mentioned, I had the pleasure of being able to call that race. There's not too many times I'm going to be able to call a sub 10 in my life. But just staying at the top of the stand and seeing a club athletics track for what's essentially a club high performance meet, and the entire 120 metres of fence line covered with people on it. That's what you want to see at these sort of events. And Rowan's the type of athlete that brings that excitement and brings people to the track. It's not necessarily athletes just hanging around after their race or waiting to do their warm-up. It's actually members of the general public who want to see the fastest man in Australia run. And I think that's what we haven't had for probably quite a number of years in New South Wales, and we're now actually starting to get the athletes who just are exciting to the general public and are starting to get their name in the general public limelight in Australian sport. I think that's what Rowan's doing, and I think that's very much what Jess Hull's doing. That's what the Bendiria Boreas of the world are doing as well. And it was just a wonderful 10 seconds of athletics to be a part of.
I think we've got a second here just before this 3K gets underway. So if you didn't see it earlier, this is Rowan Browning's 996. Windy 3.3 metre a second tailwind from a little early this afternoon.
She just needs to tell us.
Okay. Sorry, we'll just have to re-cue that up for you. So we're just... Just having a little trouble queuing that up, but we'll sort that out in just a moment. So Jimmy, let's have a look at this 3K start list while we're here, and just waiting to get underway as we take the last of the photos from the 60 metre presentations.
Yeah, it's a good little field here, actually, of 19 boys. Of course, the women's A race was run a little bit earlier in the day. I might try and run through it as you're teeing up that Rowan video. In 1 for Westfield's Benjamin Westwood, 2 Camilla Joggers Pat Carolyn. In 3 for Sutherland District's Jordan Anderson, 4 from Camden Athletics Matt Westwood, 5 from Randwick Botany Lachlan Stanfield, 6 from Illawong Reesby Brendan Felice, 7 from Athletics East Jimmy Costello, 8 from Delta Rain Project, no relation, Dave Costello. In 9 from Kembla Joggers Greg Frost, 10 from KJ's Miles Goff, 11 from St George District Finn McMillan, 12 from Bankstown Sports Harm Shapp, 13 from Kembla Joggers the very talented still junior Luke Hintz, 14 from Randwick Botany Max Russell, 15 Kembla Joggers Stefan Dean Smith, 16 from Athletics East Lauren Elliott, 7 from Kembla Joggers Jeff Chaseling, 18 from Kembla Joggers Lachlan Haining, and 19 from the Delta Rain Project Joseph Boyd. So a pretty good display of Kembla Joggers juniors here in this race as they're now underway. Yeah, 6 of them in this race with Greg Frost and Miles Goff as well. So be interesting to see what the tactics are for this one, whether the boys attack it or whether they'd be happy to sort of have a bit of a sit and kick tactical race as they're coming down. So Miles Goff in the orange hat. Miles doing a great job with his Run Creature publication as well, and he's already got a lead through the first 200 in about 31 seconds. And that's Harm Shapp, Luke Hintz, and probably the three you expect near the front are at the front at the moment, with Luke Hintz just moving around the shoulder of Shap and tacking onto his teammate Miles Goff. Yeah, as I was mentioning, Run Creature, a very good sort of grassroots tempo-like publication that Miles has started up in recent months, has interviewed athletes along the likes of Peter Bowl and Joseph Deng. Of course, the train partners who are continually pushing that 800-metre national record. Joe Deng getting that national record a couple of years ago, the 50-year record that was held by Ralph DeBell before him. He's also interviewed Jess Stenson, recently had a baby, and talks through the training involved with having a child, and can she put in a 11th hour bid for the Tokyo 2021 Olympic Games, and also Steph Austin. For those who don't know, Steph Austin's a international level caliber ultra trail runner, ultra marathoner, and a really good read there as well. So if you haven't checked out Run Creature, please do so. Miles Goff is the one behind it. He's also writing a really good piece on himself and his journey to a sub 220 marathon. So again, how a guy who just really enjoys running is trying to make it into very much an elite perspective, elite echelon of marathon running. So yeah, as I mentioned, check it out, Run Creature. Goff, Hintz, and Shap currently in the lead, and we're just ticking over to the 800-metre mark of this men's 3,000 metres.
Yeah, sub 220 is moving, isn't it? I would love to write an article about my journey to sub 220, but I'd probably be talking about an 800. So it's he's got that distinctive cap as well, doesn't he? We might start calling him Ben Jagger if he keeps racing in baseball caps. It's young Harm Sharp sitting in third in the Bankstown colours. So this will be the 1K mark for them. We've got our very unofficial clock on screen. And they'll go through here in probably about 2:52. I'd say that clock's usually 1 or 2 seconds
8:36 pace.
slow. So thank you, Jimmy. 8:36 pace for those playing along at home. And the race is now broken up into two with this second chase pack. I really shouldn't call it a chase pack, should I? But this second pack, and that in itself is now starting to break up as well, as you can see on screen, with a little gap starting to form at the front there with a couple of the Kembla athletes, and looks like a Run Crew singlet in behind them. And then some of the juniors there from Illawong, Randwick Botany, St George, sitting in behind them too. So they're through the 1200 as we swing back around and have a look at the leaders coming up the straight. And here's Miles Goff on the front. Harm Sharp sitting on the back of them in the Bankstown colours. So they go through that lap in 70 seconds. And just sitting in between them. Sorry, I kept saying Goff is on the front. He's sitting in second at the moment, isn't he? But yeah, 70 seconds or so through that lap, Jimmy, as they're holding the pace. And it's like Harm now actually just starting to struggle to hang on to the lead pack of two.
As he mentioned that, Matt, he's just putting a little surge and has got right back on the heels of Hintz. So these guys have all run, I haven't unfortunately got them in front of me at the moment, although I will in a second. They all ran the New South Wales 3,000 metre championship, so very much within their capabilities at the moment. I know that Luke Hintz ran very close to 15 minutes. I think in that Narrabeen Miles meet we did, Matt, where Dylan Holland went sub 15 for the first time from another KJ's junior athlete. Very impressive, and Hintz just over that 15-minute mark, and I think he might have run a 15:02 here a few weeks before that. So yeah, very much within their wheelhouse, and Miles I think ran quite well, about an 8:30 odd for New South Wales 3K champs as well. So these two well within their rights and capabilities of running this 8:30 pace at the moment. I think they might be in the B race as we're frantically trying to provide some evidence to what I'm saying. And Harm Shap, of course, very impressive in that New South Wales All Schools 5,000, where he had a nice battle with his teammate Hamish Longworth. I think he might have run around about that 15:20 for that 5K. So all these boys are racing well so far this season. We're seeing Jimmy Costello and Lauren Elliott, the two in shot previously. But just following the front of this pack. So, yeah, Miles Goff 8:32.66 in the men's C race. Jeez, that was a good C race, wasn't it? Oh, Coxie won that one, of course, 8:28. So, yeah, it was right around sort of that Matt Cox pace, wasn't he? And as I said, man on mission, trying to go through the marathon in 2:20. So, as I mentioned before, we're try and get these lap splits. I think they're holding about 70 seconds, but Goff now just starting to break away from Hintz.
Yeah, that one actually slowed down just a touch. They went through in 70 and then 3:29, 3:30 for the 800. So that second 400, the last two laps just slowed down a little bit, but Miles is starting to get on his bike here, try to make a move as they come up. This will be 2K, I think, Jimmy, as they head up the back. 600 to run, pardon me. So just ticking through 7 minutes now. As you can see there, the gaps now that are starting to open up as you just navigate your way through the various tents and things. Miles now going to swing around and pick up the bell lap. We're just battling with our linked photo finish. But this will be the bell, and going to run through now in about 69. So they are holding that pace. So just a little dip in that middle lap, but now picking up as they come round. Miles got about 300 to run.
Have to close quick if he wants to get a PB, won't he? I think he's going to run about 63. So 8:32.66 is his personal best from the New South Wales 3,000 metre championships, but he's really put the gap on Luke Hintz, hasn't he, as teammates? About 50 metres now, and gap's probably closed just a little bit back to Harm Shap of Bankstown Sports in third, but Miles Goff has got this one wrapped up. He's probably just going to miss that PB, but I reckon it's going to be just around about that 8:40 mark. It's been a good run by him. He knows this track very, very well. I think he runs here most Thursday nights with Luke Hintz, and he's going to get another win here. It's not going to be far outside that PB as he's closing hard. We've got about 8:36, about 8:37 I've got for him, so just a few seconds outside his PB. He closes in a 65. Really good running by the KJ's athlete, and Luke Hintz across the line about 8:44 there. Harm Shap closes quickly for about 8:47. So there's your top three. Good finish here by Greg Frost, the KJ's athlete, well under that 9-minute mark, and I think we've snuck the St. George athlete in there. So 5 under 9 minutes here for the 3KA race. That was Finn McMillan, the 18-year-old for St. George. Also got Brendan Felice coming across the line for Illawarra Reevesby. Great run there by Jeff Chaseling. How about that for 44 years old? About 9:07 there for Jeff. And Lauren Elliott comes across the line. Jimmy Costello there. Also another KJ's athlete, Stefan Dean Smith. Lachlan Stanfield of Randwick Botany. And Jordan Anderson does many, many good things for both the Sutherland Committee and Athletics New South Wales in helping deliver coaching courses. Comes across the line there, probably around about that 9:25 mark. So one more to come. This is the Camden athlete Matt Westwood. And sorry, Matt's actually got one lap to go. So one lap to go for Matt Westwood. That until that wraps things up for the men's 3K. Taken out by Miles Goff, 8:36.97 from 8:53.26, and Finn McMillan rounding out the top 5 and sneaking under 9 minutes with an 8:59.33. Pardon me.
through the mile.
So Matt Westwood just crossing the line there for Camden, rounds out the men's 3K race there, and we're now moving on to some of the final events of the night. We'll be kicking off with the under-20 women's mile championship event. And we'll jump out in front of the camera. And go through the start list, as I probably shouldn't be in the shot there. Beautiful conditions here, I have to say. Hardly a breath of wind now at the Kerryn McCann Athletic Centre. Matt, perfect for distance running this time of year.
Come over here. So we just frame ourselves up. Yeah, sorry, bear with me because I'm just having a look at the start list for the 2 mile championships, because brilliant running earlier tonight in the 2 New South Wales titles, which we already had today, the 60m championships, with Monique Quirk and Rowan Browning, of course, having an absolute day out as far as sprinting goes. The 100m 9.96 windy, but also a New South Wales title in the 60 metres, just a few hundredths of a second, as you said, outside of Matt Shervington's 60-metre national indoor record. And obviously, given it was a 0.1, I think, tailwind, basically still conditions, which is the equivalent of indoors, so gives you an idea of just how well Rowan is going at the moment. But Jimmy, let's have a look at the fields for the mile championships. The under-20s are just starting to line up behind us, so we'll jump back in the box. But really quickly, I mean, this women's field is absolutely stacked.
Well, it certainly is, Matt, and even with the omission of Lauren Reid, we've got about 8 girls I previewed outside of her, and for the right reasons, because it is a stacked field. Nicola Hogg, yep, and sorry, we will jump back into the box as we this meet moves along with rapid progression through the timetable. As I mentioned, Jayla Hancock-Cameron, what a sensational junior career she's had, and still is an under-20 athlete this year. We'll look for her in the under-20 nationals, you would imagine, in a few months' time here in Sydney. She goes in as probably one of the favourites now, with another, well, speaking of sensational juniors, Imogen Stewart, who's run a 9.01 mixed 3K, a 4.17 under 16 state record at all schools, and is coming into the form that we all knew she could be in if she just stayed fit. Also got Izzy Thornton-Bott, who had a comeback race with a 6th place at Albie Thomas Mile. As the girls are away, and we'll call out that field very shortly. Also, Kate Spencer, who came 4th in the Albie Thomas Mile lineup. We'll go through some of those other girls in that mile championship very shortly, as we have the under-20 girls championship underway now, and all the girls very much bunched early in the running. We'll run through the field here. In 1 for Bankstown Sports, Layla Leah Katos. 2 from Athletics Wollongong, Tessa Buchanan. 3 from Westfield's Ava Honorary. 4 from Randwick Botany, Natasha Ward. 5 from Sutherland District's Mia Tui. 6 from Randwick Botany, Laura Roderick. 7 from Bankstown Sports, Shani Hargraves. 8 from Illawong Reedsby, Alexa Kalmvokas. And 9 from St George World Cross Country top 20 athlete Lauren Carey.
So you can throw a blanket over them at the moment. I think it's Tasha Buchanan, the hometown girl, just 15 years old for Athletics Wollongong, is leading the field. Shani Hargraves from Bankstown and Onday Cal Music's Limitless Track team is ranging up on her outside. Then it's one of the Randwick girls. That'll either be Ward or Roderick, just getting up onto her outside as they work their way around. You can see there just how bunched they are, and even though this is an under-20 race, 70 seconds or so through the first 309 metres is really quite pedestrian. So Buchanan leads them. And it is, in fact, Roderick on the outside for Randwick Botany Harriers. They're going to go through the 409 metres in about 88, 89 seconds. Shani Hargraves sitting back there. Then it's the Sutherland athlete of Mia Tui on her back. But you can see in shot just how much of a blanket you could throw over this field, and absolutely nobody wants to take this on, Jimmy. In fact, this is probably so slow that you'd start worrying about clipping heels and having a fall in a race like this.
Well, we just saw Ava Honorary from Westfield's just duck around the outside. Now, I would say in this field, she probably fancies herself. She's taken 9 seconds off her PB in the last month. And as we just get Miles Goff, the winner of the 3K race, just give us a See you later. Ava Honore has taken 9 seconds off her PB, gone from a 2:16 to a 2:18 to a 2:09 athlete in December alone over 2 or 3 races at Milers and the Albie Thomas, and really probably the in-form athlete in this race. Now, if this continues much longer, she would probably fancy a kick, as she does have that 800 metre speed. As you said, this...
Fellas, track.
This, as we just try and get some of the... clear the path for the shot. Yeah, Ava Honore, she's just looking really good at the moment. Also, we can see up there is Laura Roderick of Randwick Botany looking very comfortable, and also Tayasa Buchanan of Athletics Wollongong. They've gone through that lap in 89, so it's actually got slower.
I've got to tell you, Jimmy, I mean, I've done 800 metre reps at this pace, and if you're going as slow as my training, it's a pretty good indication of just how slow and tactical this race is. But let's look at just how much this is going to get wound up in the final 100 metres. It's just starting to pick up a little bit down the back straight. Nobody really wanting to take it on just yet. It's Roderick from Randwick on the outside, then Honore, as you say, Jimmy, from Westfields, who's sitting on her shoulder. Still the hometown girl, Buchanan, on the inside. But now just starting to slip back through the field as Roderick and Honore make the first moves of the race. Around the outside, they're just starting to get on with it now. And it's picked up with about 500 metres, 550 metres to go in the race. Shani Hargraves from Westfields sitting on the outside. Natasha Ward from Randwick going all the way out into lane 3 to make a move around this field. From Sutherland, it's Mia Tui on the inside trying to make a move as well. You can tell by how wide these girls are happy to run just how slow this has been. So we went 89, 88, 89. That was an 77, pardon me. So that gives you an idea of just how much they've wound it up. You can see how wide Natasha Ward is going for Randwick. It's just how bunched this field was. Mia Tui from Sutherland just in front of her. Honore on the front, just sitting in behind Roderick. They go up the back straight for the last time. Ava Honore making the move now ahead of Mia Tui, who's trying to get up on her outside. The Randwick pair are in there as well. Roderick leading on the fence just now, having Honore come around her outside. You've heard Jimmy talk about just how good a season young Ava's had for Westfields through all schools and beyond, and she leads with 150 metres to go in the under-20 New South Wales Mile Championship title. Mia Tui from Sutherland sitting on her back, then from Roderick of Randwick. 3 in it as they come into the straight, 100 metres to run. Honore from Tui, then Roderick trying to split the gap for Randwick as they come into the straight with 80 to run. Honore's hanging on. Can she cap off a brilliant season with the under-20 New South Wales Mile Championship? You bet she can. Ava Honore wins for Westfield ahead of Roderick for Randwick. Then came Mia Tui, then Ward. It was the early leader coming in, Buchanan, for the home girl Athletics Wollongong, the 5th. Then Shani Hargraves, and then a little gap back to Layla Lacardos for Bankstown. And Jimmy, I didn't get their last 400, but it would have been something pretty quick given how pedestrian it was early. So confirmation of Ava Honore's win, 5:20.53, just 0.2 of a second ahead of Laura Roderick, who led up the back straight for the last time. Mia Tui from Sutherland kicked home well to take a bronze medal in 5:21. Then came Natasha Ward, early leader Tisha Buchanan, Shani Hargraves and Layla Lacardos. Interesting race to call.
Oh, it certainly was. Reminded me of a couple of races we've seen, notwithstanding the 2016 Rio Olympic final for the men. But as I said, it just plays into the hands of the 400 and 800 metre runners, doesn't it? If you don't know your field, if you haven't done your homework, and you haven't realised that Ava Honore has taken 9 seconds off at 800 PB in December, then, well, you just saw why you should have done your homework right there. But look, these girls are learning how to race still. They're all still juniors, and I think there was actually quite good to see a tactical race play out, and those girls, the ones who found themselves in the top 3 ran very intelligently. Tayasa Buchanan sort of sat on the front for a lot of the time. Probably just didn't have the kick to stay with those top 3. Natasha Ward had a good run there for Randwick Botany in 4th, but Ava Honore just edging out Laura Roderick, who And she finished very, very quickly as well, didn't she? So I might try and catch up with them in just a tick as the under 20 men underway. Now, I have a feeling this may not play out in the same fashion as the girls. A lot of these guys have got the need for speed. So we'll run through the list here now. There's 13 in this one. Pranish Chan for Bankstown Sports goes in 1. Young Kobe Stewart of Illawarra goes in 2. Joel Offord from Kembla Joggers in 3. Theo Christian from Trinity in 4. Josiah Lowe from Sutherland in 5. Ashton Hannah for Ryde in 6. Lachlan Baptist from Westfield 7. Will Hayden from Bankstown in 8. Dan Hungerford from Kembla Joggers 9. Max Russell from Randwick Botany 10. Bevan Lord Sutherland 11. George Cox Wilson from Scots in 12. And Adam Williams, who ran a sensational 8:38 recently from memory, goes for Bankstown Sports in 13. Yeah, so the boys raging around at a cracking pace at the moment. We're through the 300 in about 52, 53 seconds, and this is a lot quicker comparatively or proportionally than girls at the moment. Not flat out, but yeah, they're going through an honest pace there. So that's 62 for the first lap, just a mere 26 seconds quicker than the women's race.
No, I think it was probably about 60, 67 through the 409. So, yeah, this don't pay too much attention to our clock on the screen. That's just an unofficial guide. But I had it about 66 or so. And, of course, remember, it's 409 for the first lap.
My apologies, getting excited there, but we've got Theo Christian. I think that's Bevan Lord from Sutherland out in front there, and also Max Russell for Randwick Botany. They're the top 3 in shot at the moment. Just behind them comes the Kembla athlete. I think it might be Dan Hungerford. Just behind them, and Pranish Chan of Bankstown Sports. We'll just go to call that Kembla athlete. I have had a couple of chat to a couple of Kembla parents who have given me a bit of stick for getting their sons wrong in races before, so we'll make sure that we get this one right. Theo Christian is controlling the race at the moment. Then comes, I believe that's Bevan Lord from Sutherland, and Max Russell just behind him. Yeah, it is Bevan Lord. So through the 809, in about 2:10, 2:11, I reckon. Max Russell sitting in 3rd, and would you believe it, I've missed the hip number of that Kembla athlete in 4th. I'll get him next time. Pranish Chan sits in 5th still, and not a whole lot of change over that lap.
Just see Belinda Martin and Imogen Stewart warming up for the ladies' championship final tonight. But you can see this race, as you correctly predicted, Jimmy, is a very different story to the ladies under 20 event. The field is absolutely strung out as they go up the back straight for the second to last time. The leading group of 2 got a gap of probably 20 or 30 metres on the Randwick athlete. You can see in shot there, and then another gap of 10 or 15 metres so back, and so you've probably got 60, 70 metres or so covering the top 5 athletes as they swing around into the straight for the last time. And it's Theo Christian from Trinity just getting up on the inside there of Bevan Lord as they go through the bell. 3:18. So the leading 2, you would think, are pretty much sorted out.
Hungerford in 4th.
Yeah, and then Hungerford sitting in 4th. Thank you, Jimmy. So heading up the back straight for the last time, and Theo Christian has made a move around the outside of Bevan.
He certainly has, and the 2 speedsters are out in front. Theo Christian of Trinity, he loves the 1500, has won many a state and all schools title at this distance, but Bevan Lord got a couple of years on him at 19 years old. Can the elder statesman, you could say, try and get over the young Trinity athlete? Theo starts to kick away now, puts a couple of strides on. We're just ticking over 4 minutes now. Can Theo hold on with that famous kick of his? We see him at many junior 1500 metre races. He's showing it again. Bevan Lord tries to come back, tries to come a little bit wider, but it's too much. Theo Christian is going to take out the under 20 New South Wales Championship, and a very smart time of about 4:20. Bevan Lord second, just getting edged out by his younger compatriot. And how about this? Daniel Hungerford striding past Max Russell, and he'll take the bronze. Great run there by the KJ's athlete. Max Russell finishes in 4th. Pranish Chan in 5th. As the Westfield's athlete, I think that's Lachlan Baptist in 6th. So the rest of the field comes across the line. Young, Will Hayden and Josiah Lowe. Another great battle between those young guns. And also we had Joel Offick from Kembla Joggers just coming across the line there as well. So a nice race between Theo and Bevan, who have lined up many times before at inter-club level, at state 3K level, and Theo just coming to the fore there. He takes out the under 20 mile championship.
Well, Jimmy, we're just about right to go in the two main events of the evening, the New South Wales Mile Championships. I'll tell you what, Jimmy, I was nervous about putting 15 in the Albie Thomas field. There's 18 in the ladies' New South Wales Mile Championship. Lauren Reid is scratching, so we know that. So the field will come down to at least 17. But let's have a run down this as we get out of shot. So Nicola Hogg for Sydney Striders goes with the inside hip number ahead of the Youth Olympic silver medalist Jayla Hancock-Cameron, part of the Bankstown and Limitless track team squads. Kate Spencer, we say it all the time, one of the best juniors the country has ever produced, runs in hip number 3 for UTS Norths. Speaking of one of the best Australia's produced, one of the best Masters Australia's ever produced in Robert Masman, running for Illawong. Not non-starter. Sorry, I've mixed up Robin with Belinda Martin. Pardon me. Robin Basman is an incredibly handy Masters athlete, I should say, but I've mixed her up with Belinda Martin. Well, I will say this though, Jimmy. Robin Basman is unquestionably one of the best Masters athletes, but just in a slightly older age category. So forgive me for that, Robin and Belinda. Bethany Scott for Run Crew in hip number 5. Belinda Martin, there they are, only a couple of hip numbers apart. Hip number 6, both running for Illawong. Holly Campbell, been so good to see her back racing this year for the All Whites of Sydney University. Hip number 7, Sarah Pickering, hip number 8 from Quarry Hunter. Izzy Thornton-Bott returned very, very well at the Albie Thomas from a long stint out with injury, and look for her to be prominent late in this race. Imogen Stewart, of course, Belinda's daughter, one of the best juniors we've ever produced. Amy Harding-Deleuze is back from college and running well for Run Crew. She's been building into her season nicely, and this will be a really good litmus test for where she's at. Charlotte Middleton for Manly Warringah goes inside Sally Hunt and Jessica Hogg. Bianca Keane will wear hip number 15. Lauren Reid, unfortunately, is scratching with a root canal gone wrong. So we hope Lauren's on the mend at home and watching us. And Cecilia Malberg for Athletics East will wear hip number 17. And Deborah Jannon will round out a very big field of 17 in the ladies' New South Wales Mile Championship final. Jimmy, very quickly, mate, give me a tip.
Almost impossible to give, to be honest. Now that Lauren's out, there's absolutely no standout favourite for me. You'd almost have to go Imogen, I think, based on form. It has run a 4:17 this season, which is the quickest out of the girls so far. Kate Spencer was very good, fourth place, just out of the podium placings at Albie though. She'll certainly be up there. And Jayla's opened up with a 4:23 at Hunter, basically a solo run last week. She's in good form. Holly Campbell's been running well as well. Oh, it's very hard. I'll have to go Imogen, Kate, Jayla.
Yeah, I'm going to have to put Imogen in it as well. I think she'd be the first to admit she was probably a little bit disappointed with her run at Albie, and that can happen in the big open fields on the big stage, but I think she'll be keen to bounce back here, and I'll give her a big chance of doing that. I'm looking for Izzy Thornton-Bott, how she's going back. This is her second up race back from injury. Jayla Hancock-Cameron is a class athlete, but here they go, the New South Wales Mile Championship, the first distance championship for 2021.
And away pretty quickly, as we mentioned, Stewart, she's up at the front already. She loves to run a strong front half of the race, and she finishes so quickly. She's a double threat in these sort of middle distance races. Jayla Hancock-Cameron prominent early on. We also see Holly Campbell up there as well as Nicola Hogg. So Nicola Hogg, one of the really outstanding juniors, had a good time at New South Wales All Schools, the 4:26 1500 PB, and we can see Harding-Deleuze up there as well with Spencer, and I think that's Izzy Thornton-Bott. So a pack of 7 already starting to make themselves prominent with a bit of a gap to the rest of the field.
Well, they're not mucking around, are they? No tactics here, and it's all the suspects that you would expect to be at the front of the field who are there. Stewart leads from Hancock Cameron, then Campbell back on the inside, then Spencer, then Harding Deleuze sitting on the outside of Nicola Hogg, and Izzy Thornton Bott's in there as well, just on the front of Amy. So that's your leading group of 7. So they come down through the 400 metres now in about 66 and through the 409 in about 68 seconds. So that is the leading group. Then you've got a little bit of a gap back to Sarah Pickering of Macquarie Hunter, and then it's Bethany Scott of Run Crew, and Belinda Martin is that next group of 3 athletes as they fall off the back of the leading group by about 15 metres or so. So it's a leading pack of 7, and that's now just starting to dwindle down to 6 as Amy Harding Deleuze, who we know is running her way back into fitness after a bit of a tough stint this year over at Wake Forest in the US in the collegiate system, but we know at her best she's an Oceania Junior champion over the metric mile. So as she runs her way back into form, she'll be one of the athletes to watch this season. But Imogen Stewart, the tip for both Jimmy and I, looking to bounce back from a rough Albie Thomas, is at the front of this field. Jayla Hancock Cameron, the other very talented junior in this pack, who was of course the Youth Olympic silver medalist, sits in second. Holly Campbell is returning to form very, very nicely, sitting in third, and Izzy Thornton Bott is second up off injury for UTS North, sitting in 5th at the moment. Then a little gap back then. Thank you to so it's just a move for Spencer now coming around the shoulder, and that's the leading pack of 6 at the moment as Amy just starts to fall off there.
Another sub-story in this one, New South Wales junior record to watch, Imogen Stewart 4:39.99, where she ran herself into 6th at the Albie Thomas mile. Watch for that one as well. 5th into the Albie Thomas mile. So we've got Stewart from Hancock Cameron, Spencer, Izzy Thornton Bott. Then we got Campbell, and Hogg needs to stay here. Now she's run really well through the first K, and we have got a first K split, 70-second lap, and I reckon that was about 2:57. So the girls are motoring at the moment. Imogen Stewart now looks to start to control the race, puts a bit of a stride on Jayla. Spencer now starts to respond, understands how good Stewart is over the last 450, and she's going to stick with her right now. Hogg maybe just starting to lose touch. Jayla just behind that front pack of 3, and I reckon there's a bit of a gap now. So it's Stewart, it's Spencer, it's Thornton Bott. They've broken away from Jayla, which was probably just a little bit of a surprise. Campbell's right with Jayla in a battle for 4th at the moment, and Hogg's another 10 metres back with Harding to lose off the pace.
So it's been a pretty even race. They went from the outset 68 for the first lap, then 70, then 70. Now the move's coming up the back straight. Spencer has kicked hard around the outside, ahead of Imogen Stewart, then Izzy Thornton Bott. The battle for 4th is going on as well, with Holly Campbell getting around the shoulder of Jayla Hancock Cameron. And Jimmy, you're asking him, Nicola Hogg can hang on. She's hanging on to that battle for 4th. But all eyes on the front of the field as Kate Spencer, one of the best juniors the country has ever produced, kicks around the corner with 150 to run. Then comes Imogen Stewart, the state junior record holder over this distance, and Izzy Thornton Bott is having a really big run, second up back from a very long time out with injury. But for so long we've been waiting for Kate Spencer to show the form at open level that she did as a junior, and she is going to come down and take out the first distance championship for 2021. Spencer wins the New South Wales mile in 4:35. Izzy Thornton Bott might have just got up to dip over the top of Imogen Stewart for 3rd. Then comes Holly Campbell, Jayla Hancock Cameron just missing out on that battle for 4th. Nicola Hogg's run a big race there as well, as Bethany Scott comes over the line ahead of Amy Harding Deleuze. Then comes Belinda Martin. But a very impressive performance from Kate Spencer. Closed hard in a 65. They went out quick. They went 68 through the first 409, then 70, then another 70, and then 65 to close. We'll have a look for some official times coming through now, and there's confirmation, 4:35.9 for Spencer. It's a UTS North's 1-2 with Izzy Thornton Bott jumping over the top of Imogen Stewart, who for second place. So those are the top 2, Spencer and Thornton. but nothing lost for Imogen Stewart. Bronze medal in the Opens, but another New South Wales junior record, betters her own mark downward to a 4:38.15. Then it was Holly Campbell 4:42, Jayla Hancock Cameron 4:44, Nicola Hogg boxed on well, as you were saying, Jimmy, for 4:45. Sarah Pickering from making the trip down from Newcastle in 4:50. Amy Harding to lose, running herself back into some form in 4:51. Belinda Martin, sub 5 minute mile for the Masters athlete. Bethany Scott 5 flat. And the rest of the field came over the line after that. But Jimmy, they ran it pretty even, 68 for the first 4:09, so they went out quick. Then 70-70 and a 65. But I said during the call, we've been waiting for Kate Spencer to show that form at open level that she did as a junior, and this might be a confirmation that she really is on the up and finally starting to find that form again.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see, just a nice Masters battle to end there. Robin Basman and Sally Hunt of Illawong and Mingara, respectively. Yeah, as you said, Matt. Kate, I think that the best thing about this is that we had a junior who, as you said, we always say one of the most talented juniors Australia's ever produced, but she's come back to the sport really after not a great few years, and she's now winning races and getting the confidence. And that time 4:35 for a mile, that's only a second or two off Keely Small, who ended up winning the Albie Thomas Mile, and Jamie Blundell in second. So it's a great run by Kate. It's a great confidence booster for her season, and I've got to say again, run of the meet run of that race, Izzy Thornton Bott. His second race back comes second to Kate Spencer, who's already in form, and gets over Imogen, who's run 4:17 and 9:01 this season.
I said in the preview, she's one to watch because the run at the Albie, I mean, you and I were doing the seeding for the Albie Thomas, and Izzy was really on the edge of whether she got into that A race, just not because of talent, but because of she hadn't put a run on the board since really early in 2020. So that's only a second run in the better part of a year. She ran really well at Albie Thomas, got up into the top 5, and has franked the form here, shown that she's in very good touch going into the business end of the domestic season. But let's have a look now at the men's open field for the New South Wales Mile Championship. Just run through this field very quickly. So Jeremy Roff goes around for Randwick once again, the now coach but still athlete. Very good in his day. Ben Mudston from Manly Warringah goes in hip number 2. Finley McPhillips for Kembla in 3. Cameron Musgrove for Nowra in 4. James Tunbridge run crew in 5. Stefan Music for Randwick Botany in hip number 6. Jared West for run crew in 7. Dylan Holland, Kembla Joggers in hip number 8. Julio Ruiz de Villa, Campbelltown, hip number 9. Jack Green for run crew in 10. James Healy, local club Kembla, in hip number 11. Will Austin Cray is on debut for his new club Bankstown Sports in hip number 12 and is the defending champion. Jacob Cruz for Sydney Uni in 13. Ben Jagger and Richard Neal, the next two athletes, both for Bankstown in 14 and 15. And Brandon Martin rounds out the field of 16 for run crew. Jimmy, hard to go against WAC going back to back here as far as form goes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm actually going to go against the grain here. I'm going to say Richie Newell, just based off that 3:46 he ran at Narrabeen Miles. We put on a little invitational 1500 for Newell, Music, and one of the other boys from memory. So apologies for not remembering, but Newell ran 3:46 in a race of 3. So watch for him. WAC is a 3:45 runner though. On paper, is a national bronze medalist in the 1500. So it's going to be a good race here. Can WAC defend his title? They're off. Whack out quickly. Roffy, I'm interested to see what he's actually going to do here. So often he's paced races, and Music and Neal, two of his athletes, are in this one. He's gone out quick, so that is exactly what's happening. We've got Roff and Neal. Quick start by Neal. Watch for him. Then comes Whack. Then comes Music. I think it might be the run crew athlete there in possibly, Jared West, who's one we previewed. Jacob Cruz from Sydney Uni, just seen behind him in white, and then comes Ben Jagger. With one of the KJ athletes there. I think that might be Dylan Holland just behind him as well. So Newell's taking this one out quick. Look, he's already put a gap on WAC there of about 5 metres, and he's really attacking this one so far.
Yeah, look, if you got technical on the IAAF handbook, I'm not sure where Roffy's going to finish here, but it won't be at the front. So clearly some tactical running from the Randwick boys, coach and athlete. Richie Neal, we've seen him be very good so far this season. As you mentioned, Jimmy, that 1500 in particular at Narrabeen. They go through 409 in 60 flat, so they keep this up. We're becoming sub 4. And Richie Neal, of course, was in that Albie Thomas mile field and was one of the guys we said might be on track for a 4-minute mile if everything went absolutely right for him. But of course, he's a junior. We better get looking at New South Wales junior records, Jimmy, while you're there. But Richie Neal, I think you could pretty safely call him the effective leader of this race, because as much as I love Roffy, his 4-minute miling days are over, so he won't be there at the end. Will Austin Cray's the defending champion. New first race for Bankstown, sitting in second. Then you go back to Stefan Music for Randwick Botany, Richie's teammate, just sitting in behind them. And we got a lot of mail from Jared West in the lead up to the Albie Thomas from his coaches at Run Crew, saying he was in really good form. At his best, he's a 1:47 800 metre runner, so he's going very strongly at the moment. But Roffy has still got the Richie Neal on the train here, and the pace is holding up. This is going to be, I've unofficially got 1:59 through 809 metres. So for the time being, we didn't expect this coming into the night. You might be witnessing a sub 4-minute mile here, ladies and gentlemen. Richie Neal is sitting on the back of his coach, Jeremy Roff, the man who's done it before. Will Austin Cray is the defending champion, not panicking at the moment. And Jimmy, if you whack here and you're not in top shape, you know you're not in 4-minute mile shape, that he's making the absolute correct tactical decision. Sit on the back and wait to see if the youngster can hold 4-minute mile pace. 600 metres to run. At the moment, he's still on schedule. They were bang on 2:30 as they went through with 600 metres to run. Wack sitting in second, then Stefan Music. Jared West is sitting in what is effective 4th position in the race as they swing around into the home straight. All eyes are on the front to see if Richie Neal, the youngster, can run a 4-minute mile. Jeremy Roff is now faded and pulled out. Then you've got Will Austin Cray sitting in second. He's still on track at the moment. He's going to have to run a 59 second last lap, 3:01 as they went through. Richie Neal leads from Will Austin Cray. Jared West has got around the shoulder of Stefan Music, and Richie Neal, the all question now is on the clock. Can he hold 4-minute mile pace?
Can we see a sub 4-minute mile here tonight? Can we see a fight back from Wack? Wack is saying to close the gap just off camera at the moment, but he's kicking down the home straight. I don't know if Neal's got the legs to run a sub 4-minute mile, but can Wack come out of nowhere and win it? Or can Jared West win it? We're up to 3:32 on the clock, so I reckon the sub 4's gone. But Jared West now kicking. Here comes the 1:46.9 800 metre specialist coming back into form, as Matt said, and he's starting to gobble up that lead. It's going to be 3-horse race at the finish with Music just battling on to the back. Jared West now comes wide. He attacks Neal. He's going to try and go wide. Neal hangs on, but I reckon he's out of legs. Here comes Wack as well. It's West and Wack. Wack comes over the top of West. He's going to get him. Wack wins the title, and he's going to love it. He's going to love it. Jared West gets it. Matt Whitbread celebrates for his Bankstown teammate Will Austin Cray from the depths of nowhere. Good dip there by Jagger to get over one of the narrow athletes as the rest of the field comes across the line. That was a brilliant performance. That went from a sub 4-minute mile into a race from absolutely nowhere with 2:50 to go. And what do we say about Wack every time he runs? Watch that kick. Watch that Wack kick. He gets it. 4:06.19. Jared West 4:06.49. There was 3/10 in it. Richie Neal, well, it was a valiant effort, but he finishes with 4:07.18 for the bronze. And Stefan Music, his teammate, just a few tenths behind him in 4:07.84. That was a race that turned into another race that we didn't expect, but we probably should have expected from the preview.
I'll tell you what, there's a few people that got to get a huge amount of credit for that race. Richie Neal for being prepared to take it on as a youngster, try to run a 4-minute mile. Is set up beautifully by Jeremy Roff. We'll just flick over the rule book on that one. But Richie Neal took it on, because that was the risk. You go out and you run a race like that with guys like Jared West, guys like Will Austin Cray behind you, and you know if you can't hang on, the last last 200 metres is going to be absolutely torture. And, you know, he blew up, but absolute no credit, take nothing away from Richie Neal. He absolutely laid it on the line tonight, deserves a hell of a lot of credit for that. Then you've got, let's talk about Will Austin-Cray. We said it during the run that Will made absolutely the right decision in terms of what he was doing, because he knew that Richie Neal was going to be having a really big task to hold 4-minute mile pace. He equally knew that he himself wasn't in 4-minute mile pace, so absolutely no point in trying to hang on to that pace. There's just no point doing it. So made absolutely the perfect tactical decision. Then, of course, when Jared West went around him on the back straight, you thought, well, you know, has Wack got the legs to beat with him? And, you know, you got to give credit to Jared as well. He's coming back into form too. And I'll tell you what, if that's anything to go by, he's going to be in some pretty hot form come the state championships proper. So, you know, full credit to Richie Neal for putting it on the line, being prepared to try and run a 4-minute mile. Equally, massive kudos to Jared and Wack in particular for running a tactically smart race and not sacrificing their own race and hanging it out until the last 200 they managed to come home. And, you know, that's the best race we've called for a fair while.
1 moment, thank you.
It certainly was. I'm actually a bit shocked. Today's meet as a whole has been absolutely brilliant. Like, we've had a 9.96 and a 6.55 from Rowan Browning. We've had Izzy Thornton-Bott come back and almost take the tile of her teammate in her second run back from Kate Spencer. And now we've just had a race which I thought we were never going to see probably a K into it, and the last 600 was just absolutely astonishing. That's been my favourite meet for a long time, and that was probably one of my favourite mile races for a long time, notwithstanding Albie and the pinnacles that's reached. Wack in particular, I know he's had an up and down sort of couple of seasons, but I think you know, just even finding a club and finding a really good training base has given him the confidence, because he's a big confidence guy as well. When he strings together some races, when he gets his wins under his belt, he starts to lift in his performance. You can see that here today. I don't reckon maybe 3 months ago you would believe that he could actually win that race from where he was, but you could see the belief in the approach to that last lap. And Jared West coming back as well. Like I said, 1:46.9 guy, was part of the World Relays team a few years back. He's winding back the clock, and it's great to see Jared back with Run Crew.
You could see what it meant to Wack as well when he came over the line and won that race. Jimmy, I might dispatch you, see if you can find Kate Spencer. I'm going to bring Wack in, if just give him a tap on the shoulder while you're there. Bring Wack in. Tell you what, mate, congratulations. First race in the Bankstown colours, but mate, what a tactical race. I mean, I don't know if you knew what Richie was planning to do, but clearly went out with Roffey trying to break a 4-minute mile. We were talking during the call about Jared West and yourself making a call not to go after him, probably knowing you're not quite in 4-minute shape, make the tactical decision, stay back and know that he was going to struggle to hold that pace being a youngster. But talk us through the race itself, because it's awesome to watch.
Tactically, I sort of had a feeling Roffey doesn't really line up just to sort of go around in that sort of race, so figured he'd be doing some sort of pacing job, and with that Richard being under him, that he'd sort of attack it and sort of go with it and really make it more of a faster race rather than just a sit and dump. So that being said, just sort of let it play out and sort of see how you'd feel as you went into the race, and sort of start to build a bit of momentum as the laps kept ticking by. And honestly, if Jared hadn't made that move, I don't think I would have had it in me. So, yeah, fair play to Jared, who's come back from injury after having a few years off, and Richard himself. Richard was an amazing runner as a high schooler, someone that I looked up to, and that's actually the first time I've ever beaten him. So after, I think we would have had about 50 odd races together, and that's the first time I've got up on him. So I was just lucky and in the right place at the right time, and patient.
Well, talk us through the last 300 in particular. We'll let Kate go and get a presentation, and we'll send you off and swap. But the last 300, Jared went around your shoulder with probably 250 go. You were saying then just how that helped you get on your bike. But we know he's coming back into form as well at his best. He's a 146 high, 800 metre runner. You're obviously an 800 specialist when you're fit. We saw as well your reaction coming over the line and what that meant to you. Jimmy was saying post-race that you're a real confidence runner. What does a kick like that in the last 200 and a win like that do for you going into the season proper?
I think it's all comes down to a bit of management, just how people sort of work things out in the race. Also, just in terms of your routine and your schedule that you've got outside of running as well. So for me, it's been quite a challenge trying to get work and training as a bit of a balance. So I don't know. I feel like I'm a bit underdone at the moment. So I know that other guys, are, as you're saying, Jared and Richard, that have been training pretty well, they are sort of trying to have a real crack at it. So I sort of knew that I was kind of in touch in the race, and so that was the plan, always kind of be in touch. But as I said, if Jared hadn't made that move, I don't know if mentally I would have been able to go ahead and actually run on with that. So credit to him for having the guts to sort of make that move, and then I just sort of got on the back of it, and then coming down to the straight, it's crazy when you know you've got it, and you sort of feels like you're going down a runway, and sort of sometimes you get that feeling, and I've missed it. So I haven't had a very successful last 2 years or so, really trying to get back on the horse and do something pretty successful with running now. So just get one done, and that's the first real competitive race of the year now. So now it's hopefully I can keep ticking and get a few more notches on the belt.
Well, we sort of mentioned you coming over the line. Talk about the season to come. I'll let you go to the presentation in a minute, but first race with the new club, Bankstown, you're going to go into the season proper now, state titles in about 8 weeks or so, and then obviously we now know that Nationals will be in Sydney. What are you thinking going in ahead? What's the plan from here, and what are the goals for the domestic season?
Domestically, it's just trying and get a bit of racing in under your belt, I think. There's always a couple of races that are real top-notch and really high sort of quality, like Tier 1 races that sort of, as we saw down in Tasmania, Stewie is untouchable almost in that 1500 at the moment. But those next couple of places I think is pretty open for, I'd say you could throw a blanket over about 8 and 9 guys that could potentially get those seconds or third spots. So, I mean, Nationals is going to be one of those things where it's literally could just be like draw a name out of the hat. But for me personally, it's just sort of take it as it comes. Who knows at the moment, this current environment, the fact that we have the opportunity to even get this meet up and running and working, it's fantastic. But sort of just take it as it comes week to week and always be ready, really.
Well, congratulations, mate. Bloody awesome run. Really fun to watch and to call. One of the best tactical races we've seen for some time. So we'll let you go and get your medals. So back to back, 2-time New South Wales champion Will Austin Cray. Now we're just going to I'll bring Jimmy back in, because we're just going to let the ladies do the presentation. So I'll bring Jimmy back in. You can tell what that men do, Whack, just by the way he come across the line and really punch the air. So back-to-back New South Wales champion now, won this race last year, and I keep reflecting on the race itself. I'd really love to get a chat with Richard Neal at some point, just the way he attacked that, and of course Jared West coming back into form as well. But let's talk about the ladies race as well, because we both had Imogen Stewart as favourite going into that, and she did run on well, but this is Kate Spencer really coming back to form.
Yeah, it certainly is, and Kate has showed glimpses of that probably towards the end of last season. She ran quite well in the Open 1500 from memory. She's run quite well at club champs and a couple of interclubs, getting those times well into the 420s, but that's a breakthrough for her. You think about 420s for 1500 and then 435 for a mile, 109 metres further. That's a really good run. That equates to talking about 4:15, 4:16, which is absolutely moving. So Kate's really finding her feet at the moment, which is just so good to see. Injury issues in the past. I was just having a quick chat to her off camera, and hopefully this presentation will wrap up very quickly. But you could just see it's very much like Whack, very different personality, but that confidence, whether it's outspoken or within, you can see that sort of joy and coming back to her. So that's just brilliant to see, and that's what athletes of that caliber really need in order to be able to perform at these levels.
I tell you what, saying that Whack and Kate are different personalities is the understatement of the century. We'll just see if we can. They're just doing their photos at the presentation, so we'll get Kate back in as soon as we can. And the other one on that podium that we'd love to talk about, of course, is Izzy Thornton-Bott. And as we mentioned during the call, Izzy, this is only her second race back from about 9 or 10 months out with injury. So really impressive to see the way she came back. I tell you what, if you offered Izzy, an hour ago beating Imogen Stewart in this race, only second race up, I think she'd have taken that and grabbed it with both hands. So the girls still just getting their photos. And Imogen Stewart, was certainly not being hard on her. She's just broken her own New South Wales junior
junior record. So she's in perfectly good shape, and of course we've got to remember she's still a junior, so she's third in an open championship against a couple of girls that have run for Australia at different levels. So Imogen going along very, very nicely indeed, and really look for her to come in as we see her progress towards the New South Wales Championships proper later in the season. And it's a different thing to compete at open level. You know, it's one thing to go around and dominate the junior ranks, as Imogen has absolutely done her whole career, but to step up to this open company all the time, be able to perform at the absolute top level when some of the best athletes in Australia are peaking, that's the challenge for Imogen as she gets into it. And I'm going to bring Kate Spencer and Jimmy, given you've had the chat with her off camera, I'll let you have the chat with her on camera.
Thanks, Matt, and congratulations, Kate. I was just saying before off camera to Matt, I can see the confidence start to come back and the belief in your running. Over some really nice inter-club and club champs performances, now taking out the mile, fourth at Albie Thomas as well. Just talk to us through the mental positivity that you're starting to experience with your running.
Yeah, so I've had like 2 years of training now under Liddy. Been consistent, no real missed sessions, so I guess I've got quite a good base there. And yeah, some of the sessions I've been doing lately are a lot of speed work, and they've been going really well, so yeah, that's where this confidence has come from.
Fantastic. And of course, Lydia's squad, the Central Performance Track squad, are so well known in middle distance running circles. Talk us through, I guess, the atmosphere around that training. Of course, we see so many we saw the state 800 metre final. About 7 out of the 8 athletes, I think, was from Lydia's squad. You got such a great bunch of girls. Now, Izzy, your teammate, coming second in that race. Just talk us through the atmosphere and training, and being able to basically race together on a weekly basis.
Yeah, everyone in the group is so lovely. Like, I love everyone. I love coming to training. It's a lot of fun. We're competitive, but in a good way. No one really holds any grudges against anyone. And it's just a lot of fun coming out to all the races with like everyone who are all good friends. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
I think we might be doing a profile on Liddy's squad very shortly, and you may or may not be involved. Just talk us through now, I guess. You haven't had this platform for a while. It probably goes without saying that you would now have a lot more confidence going to, say, state opens, and then possibly making a national final now for the 1500 metres. Talk about where you are now at with your goals this season compared to previous seasons.
So I'm going to target the state 5K, which is in February. So I really do like the 5K, so I'm looking to do well over them this season. But yeah, I do like the 15 and the mile. It's nice to get a speedier race in. But yeah, making the state final in the 15 is definitely a goal as well.
When was the last time you ran 5,000? If you don't mind me asking.
The last time I ran it in Melbourne Track Classic last year, and I ran state 5K last year. I think I came third, but yeah, running in the national 5K if it's on, I'd be like to work up into the top 5 positions or so, see how that goes. But yeah, there's a good field now running the 5K, so it's pretty competitive.
It certainly is. I was having a chat to Jenny as well after her 8:56 3K last week, and she's very much in 5K shape, so it should be a cracking state 5K. Kate, thanks so much for having a chat to us. Congratulations on the win, and we can't wait to see you at the state 5K.
Thank you. I'm excited to get some more races in this season, and thanks for the meet as well. It was a great meet. Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you to the Illawarra Blue Stars Club as well. Thank you very much, Kate. Enjoy your wine. That champagne. Matt Whitbread, I'm just staggered at how good this meet was, and how far this meet's come. Over the last 2 years, it's literally doubled in size from 230 to 460 athletes today. We're now getting the fastest man in Australia coming. We're now getting sub-4 mile attempts on the track. It wasn't that long ago that race was won in 4:20 plus. So it's just great to see this club high performance, this meet, and also the series evolve.
It's absolutely no secret that the board and the staff and the organisation generally making a concerted attempt to build what is in effect almost a Grand Prix circuit within New South Wales. So I mean, Albie Thomas has been at that level for some time now. This meet has now grown to a point where it's really not far away from that. As you say, you look at it just purely on a performance basis. Got a sub 10 second, admittedly windy, 100 metres. Just a few seconds outside what would in effect be the Australian 60 metre record. So Rowan's running brilliantly
brilliantly well. You've got Monique Quirk, Abby Taddeo, Christine Wern, Steph Power, those guys in a field of that quality for the women's 60-metre championship. And then, that ladies, the mile championship, wouldn't be out of place as the New South Wales 1500-metre title final. And as you say, sub 4-minute attempts, and just a brilliant race in the men's side. So, full credit to Illawarra Blue Stars who've, built this meet up from nothing with the help of NSW over the last few years. And I'm pretty sure that, by the time we come here next year, it was 500 athletes today. At Albie Thomas, something like 700. I fully expect that this meet will be there at that level next year, because the performances are already there. And the club has done a brilliant job developing this meet into what it's become. And, it's certainly a sign of things to come. And if any club administrators are sitting at home watching, this can absolutely be your club as well. We want to get a series of these meets all around the state. We're in Newcastle last week, and hopefully the building blocks of getting something back to looking like something like the Hunter Track Classic, which was so good for so long. We've got Albie Thomas in Western Sydney, Campbelltown, Illawong have been doing some brilliant sprint meets we hope to build on. So things are looking up, and I'm confident by this time next year we could have a 4 or 5 meet genuine high performance series. But this made a brilliant step in the right direction.
Well said, Matt, and not a bad way to wrap up, I don't think. Thank you for your services, as always. Thank you to those who have been watching. We hope you've enjoyed the coverage. We've seen history today at the Kerryn McCann Athletic Centre, 9.96 run by Rowan Browning, admittedly with a 3.3 wind, but he is in ripping shape and running a 6.55 to take the New South Wales title from Anas Abu Ganaba, breaking a streak. We saw the rise of Monique Quirk continue here, getting over the top of Addy Taddeo in the Women's 60 Championship. We saw the return of Kate Spencer, 4.35 to take the mile championship from the continued growth of Izzy Thornbott and Imogen Stewart with the New South Wales record. And also in the men, Wack just winning an unbelievable race. If you did miss it, watch it. It's a great last lap. And Richie Neal, incredibly valiant with a sub 4 attempt, finishing in third with Joe West splitting them as well. My name's James Constantine. This is Matt Whitbread. Thank you very much for tuning in, and this has been the 2021 Illawarra Track Challenge.
Ladies and gentlemen, make a loud noise for the first, second and third.